In August of 2013, we opened our Pledge Music campaign, and the letters started to come in to the P.O. box we set up in Maine, where our bass player Mark lives. He had the unenviable job of collecting the letters and scanning them so that he could share them with us online. We don't live near each other, so we couldn't get together at one person's house to look through the letters. And we knew if we'd asked Mark to bring them out on tour, they would have been eaten by the abyss that is our van. In the end, there were over 900 pages from all over the world, and many had photographs and drawings. I was at home a fair bit around the time, so I started to read the letters, and my wife and kids were at school, so I had the place to myself to sing and strum and record little demos. I read through the letters at first without any thought to music, taking notes on them so that I had a list of all the letters and a few lines reminding me what they were all about. I also made a list of categories, such as love, death, birth, war, etc., as I noticed pretty early on that there were emerging themes. I highlighted the ones that I either really enjoyed or that I thought would make a good song. Oddly enough, not many of those highlighted ones actually made it to the album. When people have asked me about the song One Last Drink, I tell them that it came together very quickly because it was such an amazing story. It basically wrote itself. I thought all I needed was a great story and that a song would easily come together, but after this project I'm no longer convinced of that. Most of the songs on the record were an amalgamation of a bunch of stories tied together by the themes listed earlier. Stories about finding someone we're passionate about and can't be without inspired Cut the Lights, the first straight-ahead love song I've written, no shipwreck, metaphors, or death, believe it or not. Stories about setting off on one's own inspired Two Bare Hands and Traveler. Stories about rocky relationships inspired Unsteady. Stories of hardship inspired Trying Times. And stories about losing a loved one inspired Lived a Life. If you wrote a story with any of these themes, I know you'll hear a bit of your own voice in the lyrics. More of my own voice made it to the songs than I initially expected. I could relate to a lot of the stories, so I inevitably ended up thinking about when similar things had happened to me, or when I'd had the same emotions that had been expressed in one of the stories. There are 5 or 6 stories that inspired Lived a Life, but I ended up using place names from my own travels, flying over Bogota, Colombia, for instance, instead of those in the letters, as it just felt more honest and natural when I sang the words. That said, I never would have written that song and other songs without the stories, so the letters were absolutely integral to the creative process. There were 6 songs that I can say are definite attempts to convey a very specific story, although 3 of them will only appear on the Compendium vinyl release called Penny Red, which is still available on our Pledge Music website. Not available on our Pledge Music website, now available on our EnterTheHaggis.com website. I don't really know why it worked out that way. The final Penny Black track order was based on a band member vote. I'm glad that the 3 tunes that were fully recorded but aren't on Penny Black will still be available, as I think they're strong. They just didn't seem to fit the overall vibe. As for the inspiration behind the songs, Astray is based on a story sent to us by Julie Chamberlain about a Russian Jew named George who survived the Holocaust. He believed his family had not survived, so he moved on to the US only to find out about 50 years later that they had survived. He reconnected with his brother, but his parents had passed away. A horrific story to be sure, but it fit perfectly with the dark, lilting melody that I'd written, and Brian did a fantastic job conveying the emotion on the lead vocals. We actually wrote and arranged this song before Brian even arrived at the studio, but as soon as he heard it, he was keen to add his own touches and wound up playing fiddle, electric guitar, keyboards, and singing the leads. The President's Shoes is about Mary Burtke's grandparents who went on a tour of the White House, wandered away from the tour group, and actually snuck a peek into Herbert Hoover's office. I took some serious creative license with the lyrics, but I hope it does a good job of conveying the playful spirit of the story. The song Plays On is another song about World War II. It's based on a story about an engineer sent in to assess the damage to buildings after conflicts. It was a depressing job, but he would often sit down at a piano and play a tune if he found one. I think a lot of us use music to help us through dark times, so that's really what the song is about. Jefferson Drive is about an amazing young woman named Emily She passed away, but her mom sent us some stories about her spirit, joie de vivre, and contributions to the world, so we hope that this song is a lifting tribute. Another song off Penny Red, Salvation, was based on another war story about a man from Nova Scotia who suffered from serious mental issues after the war. He was found sometime later living on the streets of New York and taken home to Nova Scotia by the Salvation Army, where he was able to start again. Rosalie was a song that Brian wrote based on a story about two people who were in love, but both were in serious relationships. There were many other stories that were the seed of inspiration for a song but never matured into something complete. There's also a bunch of songs that I demoed for the guys that never went any further than that. Of those original simple acoustic guitar and vocal demos, we turned about 18 of them into full band demos in Bruce's basement over the course of a week or so. I particularly liked a song called Colorado that was based on a very cool story from Jason Flay about being invited to take part in a UT reburial ceremony. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. We arranged the song and did a full band demo, but it wasn't selected to be recorded in the studio for a variety of reasons. One reason was that it had a similar vibe to our song Perfect Song, and we don't like repeating ourselves. These were by far the most high-quality full band demos that we'd ever done. We recorded the band demos for the Modest Revolution with a little video recorder, whereas we recorded the Penny Black demos in Bruce's basement studio with quality mics and preamps, all multi-tracked and mixed. They are far from the quality of the final album recording, but they still sound pretty good. Some of the songs ended up changing quite drastically from this demo stage to the final studio version. The President's Shoes was the song. It was demoed as a very Paul Simon, Graceland era approach with a bouncy African-inspired drum groove and a joyful tin whistle. There was some interest in the song, but we knew we couldn't record it like that and had no idea how to change it. After we'd recorded all the songs that we had totally ready to go in the studio, we took a day to look at some of the songs that deserved a final attempt. This song was chosen as one of those, so we jammed on it for a bit, trying to take it in a different direction from the initial arrangement. One of the first things that did that was a modulation to the minor 4 chord in the pre-chorus, which made it instantly darker. Brian then set up a delay on his electric guitar and came up with a line that became a signature part of the song and is reminiscent of something that Radiohead might do. Bruce and Mark also stepped up with the most funky driving bass and drum groove I've ever heard them do. Within a few hours, the song was in a totally different place, and we very much preferred the aesthetic. It really became complete during the last day in the studio when Craig added some high delayed shots on the trumpet and Brian added some synth pads and messed with the sound of my voice on one particular repeated line through the song, Move, Move, Move. Thanks for tuning in and checking that out. We'll see you this coming Thursday, July 23rd at 7 p.m. where we will have all the guys on there sharing their thoughts on the writing and recording of our album, Penny Black. We'll look forward to seeing you there. If you're trying to figure out how to get to the particular event, check out our Facebook page and all the information will be there for you. Thanks. Take care. Bye.